Welcome to the I Am Her podcast. My name is Kylie. I'm one of the co-hosts.
And my name is Abby. And today we're going to be talking about who are you beneath all of the labels.
I think that for me right now, this is something that I'm really trying to focus on because the labels and the expectations that have been placed on me by myself and through society and just living my life, I feel like sometimes I used to hold myself back. And so when I take a minute or 10 and I come to the remembrance of who I am beneath the labels, beneath all of the expectations, and I ask myself, who am I if all of those were to be removed, it kind of helps me come to a place where I can tap into my worth and my divinity, because at the core root of it all, we are divine. And I think it's important for us to come back to that and create a place of homeness within ourselves through that remembrance, so that we can go throughout our life and navigate the world from a place of security and love. And for me, what's helped to kind of get to that point is removing all of the labels that I have carried and placed on myself and the weight that comes with them, because ultimately beneath all of that, you are divine and you are worthy. So we need to come back to the remembrance of that and then move with our knowledge from there going on.
Mm-hmm. And I think whether you realize it or not, labels are being placed on you your whole life, and you're kind of just collecting them as you go. And sometimes they're not labels that you want, or they're labels that other people placed on you that maybe you don't agree with, or maybe that you do agree with. And I think labels are a part of who we are, and just because it's a label doesn't mean that it's untrue, but that is the key word. It's just a part of who we are. We are not a label or a title. We are a soul. We are a being. And to diminish us into just a simple word of caretaker, sister, mother, daughter, you are so much more than that. And I think a lot of times you get yourself attached to the label and you kind of say it over and over again in your head, and you feel it, and then you believe that you are just that label. And that's where the problem starts, because there is so much more to you than labels.
Really, because we are constantly changing. We are an evolutionary species, and the way that we grow and evolve is to grow out of things, and that includes the labels. And I think that a label is a descriptive term for your state of being right now, because our soul is eternal. Our being, our essence comes from something so divine that it runs deeper than time. Like, time is just a social construct, right, for us to understand life and kind of navigate through it in a way that kind of correlates. I wanted to talk about who we are beneath all of the labels, because my worth and my divinity root so much deeper than any temporary state of being. And all of the labels that we use are to describe our current state of being, whether that is a sister or a caretaker, or we can even dive deeper into someone who carries shame. You know, like, there are so many different labels and words and expectations that we carried, and to release them, or to kind of like dive beneath them and get to know yourself at a root level and show up in that space to create a safe, secure environment within yourself, that has been so important to me moving forward. Because if I navigate through the world without knowing where I'm at within myself, I'm a chaotic disaster. I'm all over the place. I swing from the left to the right and up and down. And when I come back to myself, and I like to do this in the morning, I like to start my day off by coming back to the remembrance and tuning in to remember who I am beneath all of the expectations of my life. It helps me maneuver through it with courage and strength and love for exactly where I am in this moment.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And kind of the way I see it also is like, we're a book, and sometimes a label is just a chapter. For example, let's say like you're a mom and all your kids just moved out, and now you kind of feel like, what am I doing now? Like, I don't have to take care of these kids every day because they all moved out. Of course you're still a mother, but that isn't all that you are. You are so much more than taking care of your kids and cleaning up after them. That's just a part of who you are. And sometimes it's really hard when you get so attached to certain things, or your life is so focused on being one thing or doing one thing that when it ends, it's like, what do I do now? Like after you graduate college or high school, or for me, it's like, I think about people who, when they go through a breakup, and sometimes like it's very common to make that person your whole life. You know what I mean? And like all your friends are tied to them, and you stop hanging out with your family, you stop doing hobbies, and you kind of make yourself small for that person. And it happens to the best of us. And after that breakup, you're just like, who am I? Like, what happened? I don't know who I am anymore. And it's scary, but it's also so exciting because you get to figure out who you are, because you're not going to be who you were before. We all change. We're evolutionary. Like, you get to find out who you are now, and you get to become the best version of yourself that you want to. And I think it's scary and it's hard. Change is hard, but at the same time, it's so exciting and so beautiful.
It is so exciting, and I think another way that you can even phrase that is you are discovering more of who you are. Because let's say a chapter of your life ends and you're moving on to the next, and you're kind of stunned because what you've been attached to, the labels that you've had, who you've associated yourself with, is not part of your new chapter. It could leave you at a loss of questioning who you are and what your purpose is and where you fit in life. But also it could be such a big chance for you to rediscover deeper of who you are. And I think that that's why practicing curiosity simply on who you are beneath all of that, and focusing on that as you're going through this experience. And you know what? It totally is about the balance, because like, if we were to talk about all of the labels and who we are in society, that is very much so on the ego, humanistic side of life, right? And that is very, very big to be alive, to be in the physical and to embody the human experience. And part of that is being put under labels and being somebody to somebody else and somebody within this world, but also knowing that can change. And just because that changes doesn't change the core of who you are. You are still you beneath the surface. And so to practice curiosity and allow yourself to get to know yourself right now is gonna carry you through, because if you know who you are beneath all of it, no matter what changes are going on around you, you still have that stable foundation within yourself to be able to get through whatever encounters you're gonna experience in your life, and whatever relationships are gonna come in, whatever anything comes in, you'll have that basis, that stable ground of a place for home for yourself. And even though everything on the exterior might be changing, you are still that same person. You still come from the same source. You still have that divine power within you, and that will never change.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say that you are not your trauma, and you are not defined by your mistakes, because I had to look inward and kind of think to myself, okay, I need to stop defining myself by the bad things that happened to me and just be like, yeah, this is me because this happened to me. And those things that happen suck, but at the same time, they are a collection of who I am and what made me exactly who I am. And I love who I am. And so you can't look back at those past mistakes and past things that you did with hatred, because you can't love yourself if you look at your past self with disdain or shame. That person is just as worthy and just as beautiful. And it also made me look at others and be like, I can't define people because of a mistake they made. Have I not ever been rude to someone? No, of course I have. I've done a lot of things that I'm not proud of, and we all have struggles, and we all do things that maybe are not our best moments, but that is not who we are. Our worst moment is not who we are.
No, and we're going to experience some hard times, and we're probably going to be somebody that we're not fond of, and that's okay. I want you to know that, yeah, exactly, your mistakes do not define you. And that's why love is like creating a space for you to be able to get to know yourself with a lens of love. Take away the lens of judgment, because you can be accountable for things. Like, let's say, like you just said, I have been a rude person. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can take accountability for that, and you can have healthy guilt, my therapist calls it, and know, okay, that doesn't align with my values, that's not who I want to be, and then change your actions from that. But what I don't want is for you to take accountability for it and then pick up the shame stick and start beating yourself with it because you weren't the best version of yourself. I feel like it can be really tricky to navigate with trauma, because that is so deeply rooted into my system, into the way I react, into my triggers and my responses, both to other people and to myself. They root back so far into childhood and the way that I was raised. And as much as there might be trauma, that doesn't mean that is always mine to carry. And as much as it sucks to own that maybe some of the things that I've experienced and gone through shouldn't have been mine to carry, they still are. And as an adult, it's my responsibility to heal from that. It's my responsibility to show up and put effort into creating a change so that I don't harm people the way that I've been harmed, so that I don't create the same kind of pain that has been inflicted on me. And my go-to responses might initially be that. And so it really does take intention and awareness to come back to yourself and really be curious on why you're moving the way that you are. Like, for example, I was just in a situationship the last little bit, and I watched myself act so out of character because I was living in survival mode. And when it all came to a close, I sat there feeling really disappointed in myself for my responses and my reactions, and I had to work in therapy to kind of understand why I reacted the way I did and how I can show up better, because that's not the kind of person that I want to be. And also, with that being said, I was able to realize that my reaction, my response to this man was due to my survival mode being constantly activated. And so all of this has been such a big learning experience for me to kind of see where and how I can show up better for myself at the first sign of survival mode. But anyway, with all that being said, there was a lot of labels and a lot of little terms that I would use to describe myself through this healing process and trying to get to understand myself through it all. And as much as that trauma and my pain might have affected this situation, those don't define me. I know in my heart that I am a lover girl. I know the intentions that I move with. And so for me, I have to remember that and come back to that rather than letting my shame take control and say, oh, well, you're a you're a broken girl. Those are terms that go through my head, And so I have to really sit and work through that and practice curiosity on every little feeling that comes up. And I think that the practice of doing that is so loving in and of itself. Our go-to response as people is to show up for ourselves in the best way that we can. And sometimes what we know is something that's going to hurt us. And that's why it takes awareness and intention to show up differently so that we can heal through that and not repeat the old cycles.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that's very powerful of you to be like, yes, I have this trauma, but to be so self-aware. And trauma can make or break you. You can have a lot of trauma and kind of just use it as an excuse to act how you want, or be like, well, this is how I act because I got triggered, and this is what happened because I have trauma. And of course, give yourself grace, because that is going to happen. You are obviously not going to be perfect. It is going to affect your life. Trauma doesn't just go away, unfortunately. But having the power and self-awareness to be like, this triggered me and this is what I want to do, but learning how to navigate and move forward with new coping skills, new coping mechanisms to be the person you want to be and stop acting, out of a hurt and broken place. And of course, that is going to happen, and it's not a crime to make mistakes and to act because of our trauma, because obviously it's going to affect us. But to learn how to grow and move on from that is so powerful, and it makes you just that more of an amazing person, because you have this trauma and it's affected you, but look how you've grown from it. Look how you've learned and became that version that you are today because of it. And that is just so beautiful. I do have a story about how trauma and labels have kind of deeply affected me. And about a year ago, I talked about this before, but I got a spinal cord injury, and that changed my life forever. It wasn't just a surgery and then I heal, whatever. It partially paralyzed me. My nerves were damaged. I was in the hospital for months. It was very hard to come back from, and it's something that I'm gonna have to deal with for the rest of my life, and that's hard, but that's okay. But when it initially happened, it kind of made me forget who I was, and all I was focused on was recovering, which is great, but that became my whole identity. Was, oh, this accident happened to me and I'm not who I used to be. I'm broken. I can't dance anymore. I can't run anymore. I can't do any of the things I used to do. I have a lot of hurdles to jump over to kind of live a normal life on a daily basis. And it's something that I still struggle with, and I will struggle with for the rest of my life. But I learned how to love myself again, and I learned that I'm not this new version of me. I am, but I'm still the same girl I used to be, and people still see me as the girl I was before. Like, you don't see me as a completely different person, like, oh, she's not Abby anymore. I'm still Abby, and
oh girl, if anything, I
grown.
feel like what you've gone through, the way that you've carried yourself through it, yeah, that's Abby. That's my girl. Like, throughout all of this, you have shown such immense strength. Like, you're admirable. I watch you live your life. I see the things that you do to show up for yourself and the way that you've shown up for your recovery, and it blows my mind. It blows my mind. I remember walking into the hospital that night that you were laying there, and the doctor comes in and says she may never walk again. And here you are going to the gym and baking and doing everything. Like, girl, yeah, girl.
Thank you.
This is Abby. So and if anything's changed, the only thing that I see different is that you are stronger, you're more courageous, you're more bold, you're more confident, and you did that. You put in so much work to love yourself on every fucking level after what happened to you, and it shows. Like, girl, you've grown, you've beamed.
Thank you.
And you don't, like, every single day you amaze me. I watch you and I'm just, yes, everybody, like,
thank you.
Applaud
You're
this
so
girl.
sweet.
I'm
that
so
actually,
serious, and that was
that
the
means
most
so much to me.
that was like the most beautiful example that you could have given, because
Thank you.
I remember like the struggle of you going through it, and you would like talk about like I can't do this, or I'm struggling with this, but throughout all of that you still found that place of love within yourself, and you let that carry you through, and you're just an inspiration.
Thank you.
You inspire me.
That's so sweet. And I actually remember you saying to me, or you were talking to your sisters or something and saying, you know, this will either break her or she will grow from it. And I'm really proud of myself, because while it did break me, at the same time I have grown from it, and you know, it's something I'm always going to struggle with, but I genuinely would not be where I am. I would not be who I am without it. And I also had to take off that label. Like, I'm not just someone who's disabled. That doesn't define me. My disability doesn't define me. I can still go. I can still have fun. I'm still exactly who I am. And that doesn't make me any less of a person or any less lovable. And that took me a lot of time to learn. And I am still learning that that doesn't define me. That's not all that I am. And you are someone who has like truly helped me see that. And I will always be grateful for you. So thank you.
Of course. And thank you. Thank you for just being my bestie along for the ride.
Oh,
I'm along for the ride.
Absolutely.
We're both
on the ride.
And you said something about this is either going to break her or build her or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sometimes things break you open so that you can open.
Yes.
So that you can blossom. Because I would not be who I am today, too, without all of my trauma, and without learning about it, and without taking the steps to heal what I never broke. Because the truth of it is, a lot of your pain you probably didn't deserve, and navigating through that is heavy and it's hard, and it is really easy for us to cling to attach ourselves to the perspectives of an outside view, or the labels that we or others place on ourselves. But that doesn't change your worth. That doesn't change who you are at your core. And that's why I want to talk about this, because it's about showing up in the practice so that you can remember that. Because when you start moving from that place of love, when you can create that sense of safety within yourself, you are going to blossom. You're going to expand in so many ways. And I want to tell you right now, the best thing that you can do to show up for this world is to show up for yourself. And that goes to every single person that I will ever talk to. I stand on that. I mean that with my entire heart. The best thing that you can do to show up for anyone is to show up for yourself, and with love. With love. You did that. And it like,
thank
hello,
you. So did
she's
you.
like a living example. And it's gonna take practice. It's gonna take
Yeah.
time. And just know that life is like a continuous journey. You're going to be going through cycles and learning things till the day you die. So it's not about being perfect. It's not about getting to the certain spot. It's about showing up in the ways that you can right now. And knowing that that is enough, and knowing that that is actually everything.
Yeah. It's just like that analogy. It's like when you're on the plane and it's going down, you have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of other people. Like, I know that I'm such a better friend, such a better person to be around when I'm actually taking care of myself. And when I'm like people pleasing to the max and I'm not taking care of myself and I'm doing everything for anyone else, they don't even want to be around me because I'm not that pleasant to be around if I'm not taking care of myself.
Same.
Like, if I'm hangry, no,
Same.
you don't want to be around me. Yeah. But if I'm fed, like, everybody come on in, you know?
Everybody come eat.
Yeah.
No, but it really does. Like, your relationship with yourself is probably going to be the most important relationship that you'll ever have, because you are the only person who will be with you till the day you die.
Yeah.
Not your parents, not your siblings, not your boyfriend, not your friends. And they might stay for years and it might be great, but the person who will be with you every single day is yourself. So take care of that. Fuel that relationship and work to create safetiness within yourself. That is something very big for me. Does this help me feel safe? And be that for you, and take a step. Dive beneath all the labels. Dive beneath everything that you carry on top of your shoulders, and remember your fucking worth, and know that you are divine, and know that that power that you possess from being a divine being will never go away. And then after you come to that place, move out into the world and take care of all of the weight that you've got to carry, but do so from a place of safetiness within yourself, beneath it all. It's gonna take practice, and I actually have a practice that I've been doing. I get up in the mornings, and I've been having like a slow morning. If you don't have a slow morning, I don't know, maybe set some time in your day. Keep it consistent. It doesn't have to be a lot of time. It could be 2 minutes. It could be 5 minutes. I started this doing it like 30 seconds. But when I start my day off by showing up for me, and I come back to remember my worth and that I am a divine being. Like, yes, I'm a human living a human existence, and also I am divine. And I want to remember that from the beginning of my day so that I can move and go through everything already having come back to that place within myself. And then everything, I don't know, my day seems to go better because I've found that security within, and now I can go present myself in front of someone else without performing or without trying to hit certain expectations, because I already dove beneath them before I started my day.
That's so smart. And I think it also allows you to move through life with a more open heart, like knowing who you are. And I think it's important to ask yourself, who are you? If all those labels are stripped away, what's left? Is it your kindness, your empathy, your resilience? What is it? And I want you to ask yourself what fulfills you and feels meaningful when no one is watching. Because there are so many things that the whole human race does to be perceived as. Like, some people do nice things because it makes them look nice, but do you want to do it because it actually fulfills you and makes you happy? Live your life like no one is watching, like you are the only person on the planet and no one's filming you or anything. Like, who are you when nobody is watching? And I think that is what changed the screws in my head for me, of like, okay, like, what do I want? Because no one else has to live my life. I am the only person living my life. So when I'm on my deathbed, I want to be proud of it. And I don't want my mom to be proud of it. I mean, yes, I do, but like, I'm not like, that sounded bad. But like, I don't care what this professor thought of my life. Like, no, I want to be proud of my life.
And feel fulfilled in it.
Yeah.
I think that, I love that you brought that up. It kind of ties into the challenge that I put. Map out your moods. I put, and bear with me for a second. I did this once, and I filled out a page for a whole week, and every hour, I mean, you can do it however you want, but like every hour I would put down what activity I did, and then I would rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. You could just be intentional about it throughout your day and notice how you feel. Rate how you feel on a scale of 1 to 10 doing different activities, maybe hanging out with your friends, maybe hanging out with yourself, maybe doing a meditative practice or working out or painting or literally whatever you want, and then rate it and see what activities, see what people make you feel the best. And that'll help. That helped me so much in getting to know what really does improve my day, where am I putting my energy that it's taking away from me, and then go from there and do the things that fuel you the most, do the things that make you feel the most loved and safe. And yeah,
That
I feel like that
so
kind of ties
smart.
in to
I'm
what
gonna
you were saying.
steal that, to be honest, because like,
Oh, I loved it.
that's a part of finding out who you are without the labels, is like what makes you happy. And so that is an amazing practice of realizing what it is you like, and you know, sitting quiet with those curiosities. And it's fun to find out what you like. It really is.
And like, I'm just gonna give you an example, because surprising, I've been a stoner for a very long time, but when I did this and I made my list, the time that I wrote down that I was high, those numbers were lower than when I was sober doing another activity. And so like in my mind, I'm like, oh, I like to smoke. But then I look down at my paper, and if I'm being real and raw, I see, oh, I actually am not enjoying my life as much after I've smoked a couple joints or something, whereas not doing it. And so it really will, like, if you're real about all of it, you're gonna take some accountability. Maybe like see some things that you didn't know about yourself. Rate it honestly, and get to know yourself and hold that space to be truthful, so that you can create that loving safetyness within yourself.
That's really beautiful. And I think like at the end of the day, we are a collection of dreams, passions, truths, all of these things, and just one thing doesn't define you. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes like when it's hard to be honest with yourself sometimes and be like, oh damn, that actually does make me happy, or oh damn, maybe I don't want to be with this person anymore. Like sometimes those truths aren't exactly what you want to hear, and maybe you've known subconsciously deep down and you've been telling yourself something else, but you know,
I felt victim.
your feminine intuition knows, baby.
It knows.
It literally knows, and you can push it down, but it will come back.
Well, and we're here because we're ready to face it all. If you're listening to our podcast, you're into the self-work and you're willing to show up through some discomfort. And I hope that you do, because if you dive beneath it, I'm not saying it's going to take away your problems. You're always going to have problems in life. It's inevitable. You're going to carry some weight, and that'll probably never change. But the strength that you have to carry it and the way that you can carry yourself through it is what's going to grow. It's what's going to evolve. It's what's going to make such a big difference. So create that place of safetyness and ask yourself, who are you without the weight of everything else? Simply being. And also go outside. If you need to go outside, grounding helps me so much with this, because I will sit in the dirt or in the bushes, I don't care. And being out in nature just feels so good for it, because I can sit there knowing everything around me was made divinely. Everything around me is simply perfect because it exists. Why would I be any different? Why would I be any different? I just get to be. I get to sit there in my aliveness and feel my breath and feel the energy in my fingertips and remember I'm alive, and that is everything. And that makes me worthy. That makes me divine. And how I handle everything that I encounter in life, I mean, that's up to me, and that's up to rewiring my brain from what I've learned. But that doesn't change the fact that I am divinely alive. That will never go away. And so that's why I wanted to talk about all of this, was because when you come back to that remembrance, you will forever have a home. You will forever have a loving, secure environment if you work to create one within yourself and then take on the world. You'll be unstoppable because you know who you are, to your core, energetically, in your soul. Nothing will ever change that. Nothing will ever take that away from you.
Wow, that analogy of nature is perfect just because it exists, and so are we. Yeah. That is so true, and I haven't thought about it that way. It's like, we don't have to do all these achievements. We don't have to complete this and that or be productive to be worthy. We are worthy and enough and divine just as we are.
Your productivity doesn't define you.
You are so much more than the names the world has placed upon you. So much more than that.
Agreed. You're divine. You are inherently a goddess.
Exactly.
And that's that. I fucking love you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. This episode has taught me so much, even just writing my notes and talking about it with you. I'm like, wow. I feel refreshed, I feel rejuvenated, and I'm ready to stop labeling myself, honestly.
Yes.
So.
Stop labeling yourself. You're a beautiful baddie.
You are, and we love you guys
Divine.
so much, and we're so happy you're here. So
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in and being part of our journey. We'd love to have you here, and the love is just extending out in every direction. I love you all.
see you next week. Have the best week ever.